This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Sunday. Good evening, DJ Dub. It is not your fault that you missed the stream. I set a schedule out and then haven't even been consistent to it. So I take full responsibility. How you guys gonna catch me if I don't actually come on when I say I'm gonna come on? Last time was something special. We had the Iowa caucus last week, I think. That was it. That was on Monday. We've got New Hampshire primary on Tuesday. Tuesday this week. So I will be on with you tonight on Sunday, on Thursday night, our normal time, but also a special Tuesday edition of the Troll Patrol Live. Tuesday for the New Hampshire primary. That's going to be a lot of fun. We got big news tonight. No more Meatball Ron. No more Meatball Ron. I predicted he wouldn't make it to Iowa. I was just a few days off. 6 days off. Did not even think he would make it to Iowa. Now it's like you get out the lettuce for Nikki Haley. How the fuck long is she gonna make it? Can't be too much longer, right? Cause is she even going to try to make it to South Carolina, which is her home state, where she's going to get walloped by Trump? Or does she drop out before then? Got some sound from Ron DeSantis. He's going to tell us why he's dropping out. Probably one of those speeches like God told him it's not the right time or some shit like that. We got a lot of Hulk Hogan tonight. Hulk Hogan saved a young woman after a car wreck, but also his son got a DUI. Footage from both of these incidents. A protester was thrown out of a Trump rally, removed after rushing the stage. The D.C. bar has filed charges against Trump lawyers in relation to 2020. A fire chief has had to resign after being charged over his role in January 6th, where he apparently assaulted police officers. Mitochondria, good evening. Everyone please recognize the powerhouse of the chat. Such a corny joke, I love it. This is kind of a corny joke too. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Genocide Joe. He's really getting down to it too. He's getting down to the genocide. It's not funny. Yes, I got a chuckle out of the meme, but it's not funny. Nothing about it. And did somebody Photoshop a face? This guy, is that the actual face of the guy that's playing back there? Or did somebody what's going on? And see, I'm so weirded out here. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Troll Patrol Live. I don't have any funny stories. I didn't step in cat vomit this time. Though a cat has vomited, that happened. Oh, god damn it. We're going to see video of Elise Stefanik getting asked about E. Jean Carroll. Apparently, despite the fact that a jury has decided that E. Jean Carroll was sexually assaulted, Elise Stefanik does not believe it. Got new updates in the allegations against Fannie Willis, the prosecutor in Georgia. We're going to hear from New Hampshire voters ahead of Tuesday's primary. Dean Phillips, that is a Democratic candidate I've not covered here on the show thus far. We're going to hear from Dean Phillips, who says Biden can't win. I have a Democratic candidate for him that's like Dean Phillips, Chank, and Marianne Williamson. We might watch that on Tuesday. I don't know. We'll see. Michigan Democrats. CBS went to Michigan to talk to Democratic voters ahead of 2024 and what might alienate them from voting for Joe Biden. This comes as apparently our allies are nervous going into this year's election. Speaking of this year and presidents, Netanyahu may not be president by year's end. At least that is what some are speculating. I'll believe it when I see it. But I mean, he's already been ousted as president once and somehow found his way back. A Louisiana teen went to Gaza and was shot by the IDF. Fox News says the GOP has the votes to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro. Sorry, it's a Lady Gaga song. Alejandro Mayorkas. Texas has intensified its crackdown on migrants disobeying federal orders. Mexican police killed a man and have sparked protests. You're going to hear from, I'm assuming it's not the one that's married to a rapist that had the threesome co-founder of Moms for Liberty. I assume it's the other mom, because I'm guessing the one's embroiled in the sex scandal isn't going to show her face on MSNBC. So it's the other Mom for Liberty went on MSNBC to defend book bans. Copious amounts of drugs were seized at the Charlotte airport. A judge has ordered a man to be released from prison, condemning the FBI. Apparently they what do they call it? Entrapment. They entrapped the man. A juror has been dismissed in a case because of her comments about the movie Gone Girl. We're going to hear about this celebrity chef who has been charged with assault and strangulation. But he says he will be exonerated. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Good evening. Welcome. This is your meme of the day. Joe Biden dancing to Cotton Eye Joe.
Come on, man.
2024. God damn. And you know, we're already like, it's the 21st of January. We're already at the ass end of the month of January in 2024. It feels like it shouldn't even be 2024. It's already flying the fuck by. This year needs a titty slap.
A titty slap! Give me those titties,
Come on,
huh?
man.
I condemn time flying the way it does.
He condemn.
It really does get faster as you get older, and it really sucks. I'm gonna be 40 this year. I'm gonna be 40 this year. Blows my mind. I don't even feel that I'd like, even if I wanted to have a child, I do not feel that I am old enough to care for a child. There's people like half my age having kids. I'm saying I didn't mean to like wax on about like, you know, my own mortality and shit like that. And fucking life had to like what a boomer thing to do. Like, Sonny, life goes too fast. Come on, man, get with it. It's 2024. There's a lot of fucking crazy shit that could happen. I mean, I'm not anywhere near authority, so you know.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Remember when Dr. Oz ran for Senate? That feels like it was so long ago. And it kind of was, wasn't it? It was like over a year ago. Some fucking time. It's gonna be Christmas before you know it. I keep telling you people that it's gonna be Christmas before you know it. We just had Christmas. It's gonna be Christmas again. And then you're gonna be like, oh fuck, Justin was right. It's Chris. We're gonna get up on it. You're gonna be hearing fucking Mariah Carey. And you're gonna be like, God damn it, Justin was right. It's already Christmas again. I like summertime. It's gonna be one of those streams. Did I go over everything? I did. I went over all the shit we're gonna talk about. I think it's gonna be a good stream. I had like 3 things I wanted to cut from the last stream and put up on the YouTube. I just haven't had time. I have been busy. I wanted to cut up the Covington kid essay. I thought that was really funny. I wanted to cut up. I already had the thumbnail in mind. Charlie Kirk hates MLK. I thought like maybe I'd put Charlie Kirk's head on the what is it, Dilbert or something? Does the pissing on the Chevy symbol or the Ford symbol, depending on your taste, depending on your flavor of pissing on American automaker icons. Whatever floats your boat. Put Charlie Kirk pissing on like MLK or something. Oh, that might get some views. Charlie Kirk hates MLK. Because he does. That was one of the things that we watched the other night. There was one more thing. Oh, the woman getting fired. Charlie Kirk hates himself. That's true, Snicks. It's probably a refreshing thing.
You live in sexual
also,
anarchy.
Good evening. So glad to see you. The woman, the whole fucking situation with the guy who was the president of the HBCU and he was a white boy. PP girl, good evening. And one of the administrators accused him of bullying and she ended up killing herself. And like I know there was something up there. I know there was something up with that story. Shelly, good evening. Welcome in, you fine people. We've got crazy video to watch tonight. Because we always do. You wanna go ahead and get to the did everybody see the meme of the day? Ha ha ha. We're gonna talk about Israel. Yeah. Oh, the kid from Louisiana. Jesus Christ. Kid from Louisiana goes over to Gaza to show his support to his family, I think. I don't even know the whole story. I'm not sure his motivation for going over to Louisiana or from Louisiana to Gaza. Shot by the IDF. Family wants answers. He should have been shot at a mall here in the U.S. Like all the other kids have a right to have happen to them. Not in Gaza by the IDF. That was wrong of me. I'm a horrible person. I'm sorry. You come for the news and I pull those kinds of shenanigans. And Hulk Hogan. We get Hulk Hogan at the end of the show. Once again, Special Troll Patrol, Tuesday night. We got the New Hampshire primary coming up. But someone who will not be at the New Hampshire primary, Mr. Ron DeSantis, or Meatball Ron.
Reversing the decline of this nation requires leadership that delivers big results for the people we are elected to serve. I have a record of leading with conviction, championing an agenda marked by bold colors, delivering on my promises, and defeating the people who are responsible for our nation's decline. That is the type of leadership we need for all of America. Now, over the past many months, Casey and I have traveled across the country to deliver a message of hope, that decline is a choice, and that we can, in fact, succeed again as a nation. Nobody worked harder, and we left it all out on the field. Now, following our second-place finish in Iowa, we've prayed and deliberated on the way forward. If there was anything I could do to produce a favorable outcome, more campaign stops, more interviews, I would do it. But I can't ask our supporters to volunteer their time and donate their resources if we don't have a clear path to victory. Accordingly, I am today suspending my campaign. I'm proud to have delivered on 100% of my promises, and I will not stop now. It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance. They watch his presidency get stymied by relentless resistance, and they see Democrats using lawfare this day to attack him. Well, I've had disagreements with Donald Trump, such as on the coronavirus pandemic and his elevation of Anthony Fauci. Trump is superior to the current incumbent, Joe Biden. That is clear. I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge. He has my endorsement because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear, a repackaged form of warmed-over corporatism that Nikki Haley represents. The days of putting Americans last, of kowtowing to large corporations, of caving to woke ideology are over.
I hate their use of the word lawfare. It is constant with right-wingers, and I don't know what they like. I know what the word means. I don't know what they mean by it. And they seem to think it's a trump card. No pun intended. At least not then. Here is some Republican reactions to Meatball Ron dropping out of the GOP primary race.
Here's your Forbes Daily Briefing for Thursday, January 4th. Today on Forbes, why is TikTok...
January 4th. How is it January? Well, that doesn't tell us anything.
Parent ByteDance moving into biology, chemistry, and drug discovery.
It's the wrong audio. The video, it was posted 3 hours ago. It's got the wrong audio on it because it's Sunday. Governor Ron DeSantis announced that he was
ByteDance, the Chinese parent company of TikTok.
Yeah, dropping out of the 2024 race. So this is the correct video, but not the correct audio. This is the audio from the January 4th edition. Oh man, I really wanted to hear what the Republicans had to say. We were supposed to get Donald Trump Jr., Matt Gaetz, and more Republicans react to the DeSantis ending 2024 campaign. I apologize. I apologize to you. I fucking... Don't tell me that you wouldn't want to hear what Don Jr. and Matt Gaetz are saying about it. They tried. They tried. It's Forbes' fault, not mine. Off to a great start here tonight. A protester was thrown out of a Trump rally after rushing the stage. So this should be a lot of fun.
This can opener is...
Oh shit! I'm having issues with ad blockers now because of fucking YouTube. Back to his Trumpy boy.
You probably know. Until I got, who is this, Isaiah friend? You can get him out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here.
He's not encouraging him to beat him up anymore.
Go ahead, you can throw him out.
Remember 2016? He's just like, beat him up. Quesadilla. Oh yeah, Justin's high. It's gonna be one of those streams. Somebody yelled, "You piece of shit."
Well, now we know that politics is getting serious. So now we know we're getting serious. Now, he's just a disturbed person.
Can you tiptoe into a room?
Remember that used to happen all the
Get
time?
your
People
torch?
used to call for it. Where is that? We want it back. But no, probably we're really now into political season, and that is happening. It's happening. And the people in this room know what, and he probably knows too. And a lot of those guys, by the way, are paid by Soros and these people. You know that. They're troublemakers. A lot of those people are paid.
As he stands in front of a crowd that
MAGA people, but
probably paid.
I said, do what you're doing.
I don't know. Just say that like I wonder.
All of this because
he's got plenty of sycophants around him that will go to his rallies. He started off with paid people behind him.
All of the weaponization, because we're leading so much in the polls, especially if you look, we're leading.
Soros paid me to say it.
Probably finished. He's probably finished. Sad. May he rest in peace.
Sad.
Redfield Wilton poll just came out a little while ago. It's Trump 72%, Haley 9%, and DeSanctimonious 9%. But that's why you have to get out and vote, though. We have to keep those margins. In Nevada, we're going to be there next week. You know what we're going to get in Nevada? 100% of the vote.
We ain't even into February yet. Why do I feel like this primary is going by really fast? You're like, isn't South Carolina usually Super Tuesday? The Tuesday in March? I felt like New Hampshire's always in February, like it being this Tuesday. Kind of blowing my mind. But hey, what do I know? I might just be really high. D.C. bar authorities filed disciplinary charges against pro-Trump 2020 election lawyers The charges are the latest in a slew of disciplinary proceedings against attorneys who aided Donald Trump's bid to subvert the election. Barr investigators have filed disciplinary charges against 3 lawyers who aided Donald Trump ally Sidney Powell's campaign to mount discredited legal challenges to the 2020 election results. Filings made public on Friday accused attorneys Julie Haller, Lawrence Joseph, and Brandon Johnson of making knowingly false representations to courts about a slew of lawsuits they filed in the weeks after the 2020 election. Joseph was most directly involved in a lawsuit brought by then Representative Louis Gohmert. Louis Gohmert. I kind of miss him. Brought by then Representative Louis Gohmert against then Vice President Mike Pence, seeking to force Pence's hand as Trump was pressuring him to assert unprecedented authority to choose the winner of the election. The suit was dismissed by a federal district court judge and appeals court panel before stalling at the Supreme Court on January 6th. Haller, meanwhile, was instrumental in Powell's so-called Kraken lawsuits, the nickname she gave to the campaign of ultimately unsuccessful litigation aimed at undoing Joe Biden's victories in several swing states. The Kraken! After her stint with Powell, Haller represented a handful of January 6 defendants, including Oath Keeper Kelly Meggs, who was ultimately convicted of seditious conspiracy before moving to America First Legal Foundation, the Trump-aligned outfit started by former White House advisor Stephen Miller. Did he lose re-election? Or did he just not run? He might have just got out of Congress. I don't even remember now. The new charges are the latest in a series of disciplinary proceedings filed across the country against attorneys who directly and indirectly aided Trump's bid to subvert the 2020 election. Trump campaign lawyer Jenna Ellis was admonished by Colorado authorities after admitting to making false representations about election fraud in 2020. John Eastman, an architect of Trump's last-ditch bid to block Biden's electoral college win, was found culpable for violating professional ethics after a lengthy trial in California and faces a final judgment in the next few weeks. And Rudy Giuliani,
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
was suspended from practicing law in New York and Washington, D.C. after proceedings that questioned his 2020 work on Trump's behalf in Pennsylvania. The new charges against Haller, Johnson, and Joseph will be heard by a committee of the D.C. Bar, and if they're found culpable, they could face sanctions ranging from reprimanded to suspension to disbarment. And the man may still win the election. That's insane. Are we living in a 2024 where his trials are all delayed and he wins election? And then what? Do none of them go to trial? This is a real possibility that we need to prepare ourselves for. Because fucking, it's America and shit like that happens.
Hey Justin, are you trolling?
I wish I were trolling. I wish. It's crazy that there's a scenario out there where Joe Biden can win the popular vote by like 5 million votes and still lose the Electoral College. And then what happens?
Come on, man.
Socialist Aunt, good evening. Also, flash these nuts. You snuck in here on me. Good evening. What happens if this motherfucker wins election? Joe Biden wins like fucking 5 million in the popular vote. Are we gonna face another January 6th? This fire chief had to resign over his role in January 6th.
Filed court documents accuse West Valley Fire Chief Frank Dahlquist of pepper spraying and assaulting police at the U.S. Capitol during the January 6, 2021 riot. Dahlquist made his initial appearance at Federal District Court in Great Falls on Wednesday. A criminal complaint and statement of facts have been filed with the court, but there are no pending charges at this time. According to court documents, Dahlquist was allegedly captured on video and images from multiple entities, including security cameras and officer-worn body cameras. At the time, Dahlquist lived and worked as a firefighter in Monroe, Washington. He took over as West Valley's fire chief in November 2022. Investigators submitted pictures and videos they say show a person matching Dahlquist's description, allegedly spraying an orange-colored chemical agent directly into the face of a police officer. Prosecutors also say he was captured on a body-worn
The stash gives him
allegedly
away.
holding another police officer. Dahlquist was identified after federal agents reviewed a King 5 news story with the firefighter. Those agents further stated Dahlquist's former supervisors at the fire station he worked in Issaquah, Washington, positively identified him from pictures taken at the U.S. Capitol. I spoke with West Valley Fire Rescue, who said they were caught off guard by the allegations and do not have further comment at this time. In Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
They were caught off guard by the allegations. A lawsuit seeking several Texas officials, including the Attorney General Ken Paxton's emails, is going to move forward. An appeals court rules the lawsuit seeking January 6 emails from Texas Governor and Attorney General can move forward. On January 6th, 2021, Ken Paxton spoke at a rally that preceded a mob of Donald Trump supporters storming the U.S. Capitol. See if I can make this bigger. Yeah. That's the good shit. Aha! That's what I don't remember hearing about him lose, so that, like, he didn't run for re-election. A lawsuit to force two Texas leaders to release years of their emails, including about the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol, can move forward thanks to a Wednesday appeals court decision. The Third Court of Appeals in Austin ruled that Attorney General Ken Paxton and the Governor Greg Abbott did not make the case for the lawsuit against them to be thrown out. The decision was a major win for American Oversight, the Washington, D.C. based nonprofit that sued for access to the records after being rebuffed by the state. The group's executive director called the decision a tremendous victory for transparency. American Oversight is seeking records related to matters of significant public interest, and the appeals court was correct to reject this effort to evade accountability. We hope that Governor Abbott and Attorney General Paxton will stop their delay and finally release these records to the public. This is according to Heather Sawyer in a statement. Abbott and Paxton can appeal the decision. Neither responded to requests for comment. Fuck you, Greg Abbott. Fuck you, Ken Paxton. I can't believe Ken Paxton survived impeachment. Like this, the world is crazy. Elise Stefanik, she's now the number 2 in the House, right? Am I correct on that? She's still like the number 3. She's number 2 in the Republican House leadership. She was at a Trump event in Concord, New Hampshire. She was asked about the allegations, the proven fact that Trump sexually assaulted E. Jean Carroll.
Leadership, which is President Trump at the top of the ticket.
How do you grapple with standing by his side while the jury is debating how much to award E. Jean Carroll for being sexually abused by Donald Trump?
These are witch hunts against President Trump, whether it's the bogus,
Jean Carroll.
Whether it's the bogus case from Tish James, who is a radical prosecutor. They are all witch hunts against President Trump. No, of course not. They're all
jury found that Donald Trump sexually abused her.
Witch hunts against President Trump, and the reason why is because he is pulling ahead of Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is the weakest candidate we've ever seen. No, I disagree. No, I don't believe that, and I support President Trump. And you know what? The media is so biased. This is just another example of the media being out of touch.
E. Jean Carroll. It's not me. It's not the media. It's a jury that found that he sexually abused E. Jean Carroll.
Again, the media is so out of touch with the American people. Like 2016, you are going to see the American people speak out loudly and clearly with their vote. We are so tired of the biased media shilling for Joe Biden every single day. And the reality is President Trump is going to win. He's going to restore rule of law, and he's going to restore respect for the Constitution in this country.
Seen as more moderate.
The dude that tried to install himself as a dictator is going to restore respect for the Constitution in this country. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Do you think we're stupid?
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
That was Elise Stefanik, she's either number 2 or number 3 in GOP leadership in the House. She's the Republican whip. She is the chair of the House Republican Conference, the 4th ranking member. Now to the salacious. Is she Mitt Romney's niece? I did not know that. That makes a lot of sense. There are apparently new allegations against the DA in Georgia that brought the charges against Trump. Fani Willis is accused of having an inappropriate relationship with one of the prosecutors that she appointed to work on the case. On top of that, something else has happened, according to News 11.
New details tonight as new civil court filings now accuse Fulton County Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade of buying airline tickets to Miami and San Francisco for Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis.
Now this new filing includes credit card statements his wife's attorneys say back up that claim. Our Zach Merchant is here with once again the latest on this ongoing issue.
Yeah, guys, we told you at 5 o'clock about
Ronna Daniels.
When a judge announced a hearing.
Oh, I thought she was his daughter.
To evaluate the claims in the divorce case between Nathan Wade and his wife Joycelyn. Now we're breaking down how that could impact the ongoing criminal case against former President Donald Trump that Nathan Wade is helping to lead. These new developments all stem from a recent subpoena served on
Girl, how you gonna go having an affair with one of your prosecutors while you were under this kind of fucking spotlight? That was a dumb move. If this shit is true and they do have you dead to rights on this shit, holy fuck. How you gonna fuck up like this? Damn, girl, damn. I don't know what to say. That's like the last thing in like not only Trump but Trump, all these people that are around Trump that are part of this RICO case. They are the slimiest motherfuckers in the world. They're gonna find out who you're fucking.
DA Willis compelling her to testify in Wade's divorce case. Willis filed a motion in court just yesterday trying to block that subpoena, arguing she had no legally relevant information to share. But today, Joycelyn Wade responded in court, releasing credit card statements alleged to be her husband's that show he spent more than $1,000 for a passenger listed as Fonnie Willis to accompany him on trips to Miami and San Francisco in 2022 and 2023. Joycelyn Wade's attorneys wrote that they wanted to depose Willis to determine the nature of her relationship with Nathan Wade. Previous 11 Alive reporting revealed that Wade has been paid more than $500,000 more than the other special prosecutors on the case. Stressing that he was speaking only hypothetically, long-term Gwinnett County District Attorney Danny Porter says if the allegations are true, it would reflect badly on Willis's judgment as a lead prosecutor.
Ultimately, it'd be a question for the voters whether or not they want to re-elect a person who exercised poor judgment.
But when it comes to how these allegations might impact the ongoing criminal case against Mr. Trump, Porter says it would take a lot of proof for Wade or Willis to be disqualified from the case.
Yeah, I don't see how it affects their case.
It was all part of a plan to pay him more money, and then she would draw the benefit, more or less a kickback. Then it's really irrelevant to the criminal case, to the Trump case.
We have repeatedly reached out to Nathan Wade about these allegations. So far, he has not responded.
All right, Zach, thank you so much. We also want to point out that DA Willis's team has said that they will only be responding in court filings of their own.
Well, so that's your update on what's going on in Trump world. Let's hear from voters ahead of New Hampshire. Remember, we're coming on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. It's the New Hampshire primary. Let's hear what voters have to say. I guess we're just down to Haley and Trump now.
We're here at the Goldenrod restaurant in Manchester, New Hampshire, ahead of the state's first in the nation primary. And I'm speaking with supporters of Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Donald Trump about why they've chosen to support their candidates and what issues are most important to them.
Galen Druk.
Tell me your name and who you're supporting.
My name is Thalia Flores, and I'm supporting Nikki Haley.
My name is Jonathan Leslie, and I'm supporting Governor DeSantis.
My name is Arthur Evans, and I'm supporting President Trump.
Who did you support in the last election?
I supported Joe Biden.
And you?
Donald Trump.
And you?
Donald Trump.
Regardless of who wins the Republican primary, will you be supporting the Republican candidate in the 2024 election?
If the nominee is Nikki Haley, I will support Nikki Haley in the general election. If the nominee is Donald Trump, I will support either Joe Biden or RFK Jr.
What's the most important issue to you in this election?
Goldfish, good
Immigration.
Immigration.
Not immigration. I'm more interested in an overall leadership.
New Hampshire, you're concerned about immigration. And this guy's a little swarthy.
Qualities.
What do you think about the issue of immigration?
I do think that the southern border has gotten out of control. And I think that Nikki Haley has some really good thoughts on, getting that border under control. It's a problem, but I do think it's really important to continue to allow legal immigration for people who need asylum and need to come to this country to get away from oppression in other countries.
I think some people would say the southern border is so far away from New Hampshire. How is it a number one issue for so many Republicans here?
It's
Galen
not just the southern border. Over the summer, up in Coos County, up in Pittsburgh, there was a Brooklyn, New York man who smuggled in 8 or 9 people over the border into Stewartstown or Pittsburgh, and that's the upper tip. So it's not just affecting the southern border, it's also affecting New Hampshire.
Are you supporting the candidate you've chosen more because you really like that candidate or you dislike the alternatives?
My goal was to have an alternative. The result was really getting to like Nikki Haley and respect her and want her to be my president.
Really?
How about you?
I 100% support Ron DeSantis. Since I, kind of started to look into who's running for president, Donald Trump was an awesome president. I thought, there were definitely a lot of great things about him, but I like some of Ron DeSantis' perspective a little bit more.
And I'm 100% behind President Trump. I was in 2016 and 2020. And getting back to this, are you voting for Nikki, or are you voting for Nikki because you're against President Trump? And I think that's what why there's been an outreach from the Haley campaign to reach out to these independents and vote for Nikki, but they're not voting for Nikki. They're voting against President Trump.
Would you vote for Donald Trump if he is convicted of a felony before Election Day?
More than likely, yeah. Even though I'm not supporting him necessarily in the primary, that a lot of the charges have been politically motivated.
I think Donald Trump
in 5 different jurisdictions,
and he should be held accountable for his actions.
Do you think that if he wins in 2024, he should seek quote-unquote retribution against the Democrats?
I believe he's going to try to unite the country if the other side will unite with him.
What do you think? Do you think he should seek retribution?
What? He'll unite the country. Do you know who Donald Trump is, sir?
If he's elected in 2024?
No, I don't think that'll accomplish anything.
I went to a Donald Trump rally for the first time this year. In one sentence, he was saying that he was being persecuted. The DOJ and the FBI are corrupt, and he was being, the government's being weaponized. And then in the next paragraph or the next sentence, he was saying, when I get in there, I'm gonna lock them all up and send them all to jail. So
Yep.
the weaponizing.
So do you think that Donald Trump didn't actually do the things he said he was going to do when he ran the first time?
No, not at all. I mean, we had gas at $1.87. We had pretty much world peace. So no, I'm totally...
No, we did not have world peace.
Pre-Biden.
When?
Back in 2020.
Okay, so we were all staying home because of COVID. Nobody was on the roads. People were staying home. There was no
gas
vaccine.
was still cheaper prior to 2020 than it is now.
What do you think is the number one thing Nikki Haley will do that will improve the economy?
The woman is smart.
Having an accounting background, she's going to go in there and she's going to want to have full transparency of where our money is being spent, both
Does she have an
in the
accounting
United States
background?
and overseas, where our money is going, how it's being spent, and she's going to tighten up the purse strings. And certain spending needs to be cut back and then put into other places. She's really good on, defense spending.
She said she's good on defense spending, and she's going to tighten the purse strings, but she still wants to continue sending money over to Ukraine. What's your thoughts on that?
Now, I'm not an expert on this, but she talks about how Ukraine is a very small portion of the defense budget, and that she can take that money from other places. Do you think we shouldn't be giving Ukraine money?
No, I think we're broke. Do you know anybody who serves?
No.
Okay, so I have a lot of friends who still serve. Their barracks are decrepit, but right now we're sending $50 billion annually to Ukraine rather than helping our troops become safer, be in healthy barracks.
Part of the conversation in the Republican primary has been about race in America.
Looks like fish.
And the different candidates have weighed in. I'm
fish and chips.
Overall, do you think that America is a racist country?
I think we have had a racist problem in this country since its inception. And I think that we just try to make it better and learn from our mistakes, go forward.
So I don't think America's a racist country. I think the Constitution was written colorblind, but unfortunately people are fallible.
But slave owners.
Race prior, things are, as you said, continually getting better.
I would totally concur with Jonathan.
But having heard that, right, you're talking to 3 white folks from New Hampshire.
I'm not white.
So, no, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
I said he looks worthy.
You assume it, and you can't really base that assumption.
How do you feel like this conversation amongst all of us has...
Well, he's like Italian or some shit, isn't he?
Politics in America.
Everyone wants America to be the best country it can be. We have different perspectives on how we get there. And it really shouldn't be this combative, they want to blow up the country. I mean, yeah, there are some people who are like that. But for the most part, we all want America to be successful, our kids to be successful, our grandkids to be successful. And we all just have different perspectives on how to get there.
Absolutely. We want things to be stable. And we want, like every father wants their children to have a better life than they had.
Wilford Brimley looking
I think that's what we all
motherfucker.
want.
Hi, Joe Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel.
Shut up, George. We're gonna get some Democratic voters here in just a little bit. I promise. It's not gonna be one-sided. We're gonna hear from Democratic voters, but before we do that, we're gonna hear from one of the Democratic primary candidates. Let me tell you, I was going to play you something from Cornel West. He has not done an event. He has no presence in New Hampshire or Iowa. So, which is he's not in the Democratic primary anymore. He's in the general. So I don't fucking know. But like, he ain't done shit. Poor, good evening. So I can't play you any Cornel West, but I can play you Dean Phillips, who says Biden can't beat Trump.
Into the conversation, the Iowa caucuses were last night, and I would love to get your thoughts. Donald Trump won by a landslide. What's your reaction?
Well, the polls predicted it, and my contention to Democrats right now.
The Polish people predicted it?
Polls are showing that Donald Trump is stronger than people imagined, and he's going to beat Joe Biden. In fact, the last polls that just came out show that Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and former President Trump will all beat Joe Biden in the general election. And there's a delusion right now amongst my friends in the Democratic Party that somehow President Biden is reelectable. And the truth is he's not. I think President Trump is a lot stronger than people would imagine and that people want. And I think he's going to just walk through this GOP primary in a cakewalk. And the good news is Democrats still have an opportunity to recalibrate. I know it's not traditional. I know it's not what conventional wisdom within the political industrial complex would have us believe, but the reality is I can beat Trump and I can also beat Haley. President Biden can't. And I think that's what we discovered in Iowa. He is strong and he's coming on stronger, and Democrats are complete.
Sir, I'd never even seen your face until you ain't beating fucking nobody. What the hell?
Completely delusional and sleepwalking into a disaster if we maintain this coronation.
Let's talk about that poll you just mentioned, because the numbers coming out of Iowa last night do suggest it would be a cakewalk for Donald Trump to get the GOP nomination. And a recent PCS poll, as you stated, said that Nikki Haley, Governor Ron DeSantis, and Donald Trump would all beat President Joe Biden in a head-to-head matchup in 2024. Now, a tracker from 538 says that you voted with President Biden 100% of the time. So what would make the outcome different if we replace President Biden with nominee Dean Phillips?
Well, let's start with what the numbers are also showing, which is most of this country, an overwhelming majority of this country collectively does not want a Trump and Biden rematch. Most of this country believes both men to be too old to serve in this position. And that's not my comment about that. That is what the country is saying. So let's just start with generational change. The biggest contrast you can draw right now is
this is Democratic candidate Dean Phillips,
experienced candidate of good principle and ready to lead the country. President Biden at age 82 by the time of the next election, 86 by the time of the end of his.
It is this motherfucker, Marianne Williamson, and Cenk Uygur running in the Democratic primary. So,
second term, if he were to win again, is an elderly man, a good man. But that's what the country's saying. That's one. My policies are different. I will be a Democrat to acknowledge the truth. The southern border is an unmitigated disaster. We have chaos there. We have chaos in our cities. We have a crisis overseas of war, and it is spreading. It is not being contained. We also have a horrible lack of affordability in our country. The president has done a good job of investing in America. You just referenced my voting record with him. Those were good investments, the infrastructure bill, the CHIPS Act. But he has not invested in Americans. And that's my contention and the biggest point of difference with the president. We need health care for everyone.
I'd never seen his face before.
Build 7 million houses in this country to eliminate homelessness and put downward pressure on unaffordable rents. And we need to be a country that finally establishes a mechanism by which young people can go to college, can go to trade school, can go to
Democrat DeSantis
with tens of thousands of dollars in debt. That has not been accomplished. So between costs and chaos, we are very different leaders, not to mention the most obvious, which is generational. And that's why I think this country would much rather see a Nikki Haley Dean Phillips matchup this November than a Donald Trump Joe Biden matchup. It's about the
I don't know. No. Dean Phillips, Nikki Haley. I hate that combo as well. No, I think I'd rather have Joe Biden than you jackass. So, and that's a very low bar, but I don't think you clear it, motherfucker. I think you get a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
And I was calling him Genocide Joe earlier in the show. So, fuck off. I promise you, Democrats. Here's what Democrats in Michigan are saying are their deal breaker issues about 2024.
We sat down with a group that included Michigan State students and community activists. 4 of them identified as Democrats. We talked about a range of topics, including the challenges Mr. Biden faces.
Ain't high enough for this
States
shit.
that supported him in 2020.
While I'm not pleased with everything he's done, I still just think he's the better choice. He's the safer choice. He's the more stable choice.
Because you think Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee?
I do.
Tassin, you did change your mind
Yes.
on the president. Why?
I was a champion for Joe Biden until October 7th. I feel he's disowned us, disenfranchised us with his stance on Gaza.
What do you mean by that?
He's not listening to us. We are asking for a ceasefire at this time. It's a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Too many lives are being lost at this time. I was never a single issue voter. In fact, I used to
You gotta wait out the cat.
not to be single issue voters. But for me, this is a deal breaker. Way too many lives have been lost.
When you say us, you're Muslim. Is that what
Yes.
you mean? You think the Muslim community here feels as you do?
Yes, I think a vast majority of Muslims, Arab Americans, even progressives.
He being Joe Biden absolutely needs that community. And it's not just the Muslim community, it's young people. Young people in general are being turned off by his response to Gaza.
I identify myself as a progressive, and many people that I talk to in my circles are not going to be voting for Joe Biden.
Kathy, how do you feel about this issue?
Well, I feel like it's really a difficult issue, but I'm glad we have someone like Biden with his wisdom and experience trying to decide how to handle this. I believe that I like when he says things like Israel has the right to defend itself
Goldfish.
and to do what it needs to do to protect its citizens from Hamas. I think he stresses that Israel's got to be really careful not to commit war crimes. I think he's been really clear on that. I just don't know what else he can do. I think people think he has more power over Netanyahu than he does.
So abortion is legal and protected in the state of Michigan. Your state vote.
Well, she is wrong. I think like the idea that the U.S. doesn't have more control over what Israel does with the money we send them. Like, fucking Biden averted Congress in order to even send Israel even more money. And I agree, Shelley, Trump will be worse for Muslims. It's a tough decision to be in. I understand. I am not going to fault anybody for not voting for Joe Biden. If you live in a swing state, I would implore you to vote for Joe Biden. But I'm not going to fault you if you don't. I understand it. And it is going to be a fucking heartbreaking election. If Joe Biden's going to win the popular vote, that's going to happen. Probably by more than Hillary. I'm calling that. I'm going to guess around 5 million votes. We're not going to have the turnout that we had in 2020. And Joe Biden is going to win the popular vote, 4 or 5 million votes. But it's a possibility that he loses the Electoral College, and it's a good possibility. So I don't know what to do with that, but I am not the one to vote shame. I've said it a million times here on this show. The choices that result in who gets to be president are made at the local level 20, 30 years before. So you gotta get involved locally in the local party. You gotta take your local party over. You gotta create a party where there's not one. Create a DSA or some shit. I don't know. And it's a process that takes time and it's frustrating. But your vote for president, like right now, isn't like the most important vote. However, I'm really concerned about what would happen if a Trump gets in office. I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. I am not going to fault anybody who doesn't feel that they can. I encourage them to still go vote down ballot, go vote for a third party candidate. Cool. I'm not going to vote shame anybody. Not my business. It's interesting to hear what these Democratic voters have to say, though.
Voted for that, but do all of you
not high enough for this shit?
Any vision for what should happen at the national level if you see Donald Trump elected, Sean? Do you think that there will be federal limits on abortion access?
No, I don't believe so, because I think the court has been quite clear, and this was through their opinion in the Dobbs case. Allowing states to tailor their own methods for regulating abortion, and then
this is not a Democratic voter. This is a Republican.
Who wrote that opinion that it wasn't going to be federally regulated. The only way you can do that is if you change the Constitution. So, I could see.
Or write a new law.
Well, they could write a new law, but unless they add it into the to an amendment, then I could see the court swiftly striking it down, like the court does with many things in either presidency for Trump or Biden. So I'm not exactly worried about that issue. I would like to see instead what I just said, where Congress does make an amendment protecting the life of everyone, including people in the womb.
Some of the Republican candidates have different visions on what you just laid out there. You are shaking your head vehemently, so I have to. No, you feel strongly. Please tell me. How much of reproductive rights are a factor in your presidential campaign vote?
Oh, it's huge. The president chooses our Supreme Court justices. I wish I had confidence that you say in our Supreme Court justices. I think there's probably it's one of the most important things that the president does, and that we have had.
You believe a Republican politician, you're a sucker.
That are, really.
You believe pretty much any politician, you're a sucker.
That I find very disconcerting, and I'm very concerned about reproductive freedom in this country.
And you are as well.
Same. I mean, I think it was, looking bigger picture, just the last few Supreme Court nominees, the process was totally upended and totally disregarded. And I think it starts with that, and then freedoms were rolled back, such as reproductive freedoms. So I'm fortunate that we have protected them in the state of Michigan. I think, just again, the American people are for some type of abortion protection. Certainly there's a sliding scale, but for the federal government to just disregard that and go the other way, I think is appalling.
Saba, you said reproductive rights are a huge factor for you, but that you probably won't vote for President Biden.
I think it would be hypocritical of me to use reproductive rights as a way to justify voting for Biden when Biden is aiding and sending military aid to Israel, which is airstriking Gaza and blocking humanitarian aid, leading to women there who are pregnant, either getting C-sections without anesthesia, not being able to be provided with prenatal care.
It's interesting that, just to button this up, you are not very excited about the Democratic candidate. But I saw the both of you are excited, but I saw the both of you jump.
Yeah, them older people, they like Biden.
That is something that's going to make you show up to vote, even though you're kind of on the candidate.
I think so. I mean,
you see exactly who is excited about Biden. Her. That's that's what like blows my mind. I've told this story before. I was editing for a podcast, and they were like professional levels. They were like Gen X. Like one of them was a doctor, and another one was like a hospital administrator, and another one was a lawyer, and they had a podcast, and they fucking love Joe Biden, and like I'm like, this is where this mythical Joe Biden supporter is. And like they were they hated Bernie. It was wild. And it wasn't a political podcast. They were just kind of, topical, and it was 2020. So like, and this woman's all about some Joe Biden, but you can see the divide with the ages and the skin tone.
Democrat at the moment, I would say. I think Joe Biden's made a lot of missteps. I think he's not a perfect man. He's not a perfect candidate, but nobody is. And I think he's done the best. But I think it's been alarming to see the things that have gone on, particularly in the Supreme Court, around things like reproductive rights. It's been alarming, and I just think it's a huge wake-up call to women, to young women.
That ended abruptly. Oh, I could name fucking 10 things, 20 things that the Biden administration, the Congress, predominantly, in the first 2 years when Congress was Democratic, the things that the Democrats have done that were beneficial to us, that were helpful. I believe Democrats being in power is better for the country and is better for me personally. So that's why I vote the way I do. But once again, I won't vote shame anybody. And if we were in a different time, I have probably voted independent more than I've voted Democratic. It's just right now, like, it's more of a protest vote. If I could help establish a true third party, I would vote for that. But I don't have that option. If you were in a solid blue state and you've got a DSA and you were a Working Families Party, like, fucking vote for them. I encourage it. It helps strengthen those parties. If you're not going to vote Democratic, at least your vote goes for something. And like those especially, those two parties are serious about getting candidates on the ballot. Fareed Zakaria over on CNN says that our allies are nervous about the U.S. presidential election.
The conversations swirling around the chilly mountain air of Davos this week keep returning to one.
Oh, he was in Davos.
Carl Bildt, former Prime Minister of Sweden, said to me, 2024 is the year of 50 or so elections around the world. But there is only one election we're all talking about, the one in America. When abroad, Americans can often be parochially attentive to their own politics, boring their foreign counterparts with long discussions of party politics in the Senate or the prospects of a new governor. But this time, I find it's the Americans who are weary of their country's political drama, while foreigners are panicking about what might happen in November. The American election is taking place at a crucial moment. Around the world, we're seeing several challenges to the rules-based international order that has served humanity well for decades. In Europe, the bloodiest war the continent has seen since World War II threatens to upend its security system. In the Middle East, Iran and its allies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others, are testing their ability to disrupt the balance of power in the region. And in Asia, the rise of China remains the large, long-term disruption, to which one must add North Korea's accelerating arms buildup and increasingly belligerent rhetoric. All of these have become tests of will for the U.S., which is scrambling to mobilize its allies in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East to help deter these threats and resolve crises. But many allies worry that in November, America could decide it has had enough, that these many problems perhaps do not centrally threaten American security and are therefore not worth confronting. Much of the rhetoric of Donald Trump and some of his closest ideological soulmates, from Tucker Carlson to Vivek Ramaswamy, feeds into this fear. So if Trump were to win the election and practice what he preaches, what happens to American allies that have stuck their necks out to partner with Washington? Sweden's Bill told me, consider my country and Finland. We have taken a huge step in joining NATO, one that puts us in a confrontational pose against Russia. We did this under the assumption that we had the backing of the armed forces of the United States. What happens if Trump wins and decides to pull out of NATO? We would be left exposed and have to think long and hard about our options. Finland, for its part, abandoned a policy of neutrality that had served it well for more than 70 years. And it could find itself deeply vulnerable to Russian attacks along its 830-mile border with that country. Its capital, Helsinki, is less than 200 miles from St. Petersburg. I detected similar concerns when I was in Australia a few weeks ago. On the surface, Australian officials and analysts were bullish about their newly strengthened alliance with America and proud that they would now be trusted by Washington with nuclear submarines, a technology that so far the U.S. has shared only with Britain. But underneath the bravado,
why are we giving people nuclear submarines?
In recent years, Australia has moved decisively to ally itself with Washington and in the process enraged China, its largest economic partner. This is a balancing act that makes some strategists nervous. Sam Rogovin is a scholar at the Lowy Institute, Australia's leading think tank on international affairs. He has written a book, The Echidna Strategy, that best articulates this nervousness. Rogovin argues that Australia is making a major mistake by relying on the U.S. to be there for it over the next few decades. He believes that the Americans will, over time, conclude it's just not worth the enormous and sustained cost to confront China in Asia, that its security does not require it, and it will scale back its foreign commitments.
I wish!
That would leave Australia in a terrible place, having angered and alienated the Chinese, but without America's security umbrella to show for it. He advocates turning Australia into an echidna, an Australian version of a porcupine, hard to attack, even harder to digest. Ever since World War II, Washington, on a bipartisan basis, has adopted an expansive vision of its own security, one that recognized it alone could help undergird stability in the key regions of the world. That global role has helped create what historians call the long peace and the open global economy. If Trump wins in November and rejects that broader view of America in the world,
is that a joke?
A retreat could create power vacuums, leave allies exposed, and tempt adversaries to accelerate their attacks and heighten their ambitions. And that is why, this time around, it is foreigners nervously watching and obsessing about the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary. Go to CNN.com/Fareed for a link to my...
Fuck you, Fareed. I assume that Netanyahu, Putin, they want Trump back in power. They'll do everything in their power to make that happen. But there are some people who think that Netanyahu will not be in power by the end of the year. This extremely Jewish-looking man is going to explain it to us.
Aaron, look, you've said this, I don't know how many times to me in the last 105 days, that there are various parties who will not be party to a deal that results in the establishment of a Palestinian state. And Benjamin Netanyahu is one of them. With him at the table, it's not going to happen. So probably none of this is a surprise to you.
No, and thanks for having me, Ali. And you know that Tip O'Neill said that all politics is local, and clearly Mr. Netanyahu ideologically is opposed to a Palestinian state, but he also knows that several members of his government, should he agree to one right now, would probably jump ship. And that's going to mean, as you pointed out, he's on trial for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust in the Jerusalem District Court, now 3 years in running. Unless Mr. Netanyahu stays Prime Minister of Israel, it's less the war, Ali, it's the determination to hang on to power, because it's only through hanging on to power that he can seek to dilute or somehow end run that indictment. And I think that's the key here.
Let's talk about what this means. Some people are shocked at what Netanyahu has said, but a close study of Netanyahu since he first came to office will tell you that he's actually been relatively consistent on not being a champion for a two-state solution, or in the case of the Palestinian Authority, actively
consistently
their ability to be a representative of the Palestinian people. He's succeeded. He's weakened the Palestinian Authority. He did empower Hamas, and they are empowered and now stronger than they were probably on October 6th. What can happen? We've heard this week that Americans are talking to other Israelis about what happens after Benjamin Netanyahu. But what can happen?
Well, there's the day after Gaza and there's the day after Netanyahu. The problem is that there's no mechanism right now to remove it. He has a majority of 64, and with Benny Gantz adding 12, Jews join the work cabinet, that gives him a comfortable majority. So right now, literally, there's no way to end his prime ministry. It may well be, and I do not believe, Ali, that the most intense kinetic phase of this war is going to continue for several more months. The war is going to wind down. And at that point, the reservists are going to return home, many of whom are extremely critical of Netanyahu for his efforts to rearrange the political furniture in Israel and undermine the independence of the Supreme Court, of the judiciary. There may be increasing protests. At that point, Benny Gantz may decide to leave the government and to tell the people of Israel why he's leaving. So Netanyahu is not a sole unitary actor here. He's going to be under increasing pressure. There's also going to be a state commission of inquiry, which is going to address the issue of the massive intelligence and operational failure. So I'm afraid, and he's the worst of all possible combinations, because he's conflated his own legal and political travails with what he believes are the best interests of his country. He's the wrong leader to steer Israel through a critically important period. Problem is, as we approach presidential elections, he is banking on a Trump victory. There's no question about it. It will relieve some of the pressure, and Trump will create a sugar high for Israel. There's no doubt about that. But again, I'm not taking bets on this one. I think there's a reasonable chance that by the end of 2024, Benjamin Netanyahu may not be the prime minister of Israel. Let's hope. And again, having worked for Republicans and Democrats and voted for Republicans and Democrats, that Joe Biden is around to deal with the next Israeli government.
Aaron, typically Antony Blinken or people, American officials who have visited Israel since October 7th have gone to Israel, and then they've gone to other places, Qatar or Saudi Arabia. In this case, Blinken went to a number of Arab states first to try and coalesce around some kind of an agreement about what can happen to Gaza, and it was shot down the second he got to Israel. Netanyahu said no deal. Blinken goes back empty-handed. That said, we've discussed the fact that Netanyahu is not looking for that sort of a situation. Is there anything about the discussions that Blinken had with Arab leaders that suggest a potential plan for Gaza in the post-war days?
I don't see one, frankly. I know it's sobering, annoyingly negative analysis, but I don't see one. An international force with the UN or outside one is not imaginable, frankly. The Arabs are not going to do the Israeli bidding, certainly while Israel remains militarily involved in Gaza, by sending their own forces. And the notion of bringing back the Palestinian Authority, training Palestinian security forces, even if you could work out the politics, is at least 8, 10, 12 months away. So nobody has an answer, frankly, to the day after, or even the day after the day after. And that's going to be a serious problem as we move to 2024.
The Palestinian Authority over what exactly?
Though, Joe Biden's demeanor, his emotional commitment to Israel, not to Netanyahu, means that he tends to want to accommodate understand and work with Netanyahu rather than confront him. The president has options. He could withhold or slow off military assistance. He actually seemed to rule that out tonight in his post phone call with Netanyahu's comments. He could change voting patterns in New York and abstain or vote for UN Security Council resolution. And in the nuclear option, should he choose, he could endorse a cessation of hostilities, which would put him fundamentally at odds with Benjamin Netanyahu's government. I just don't see, frankly, Ali, whether we're looking at a major breach between Israel and the United States anytime soon.
Good job, Lester. I don't think we actually got Lester, but you know. If there was a Lester, I'd be telling him to shut up. Disbelief in Gretna, Louisiana. After a teenager went to Gaza and was shot by the IDF.
Well, tonight, loved ones of a Gretna teenager killed in Palestine gathered to pray for him. 17-year-old Tawfiq Abdul-Jabbar was shot yesterday, reportedly by either an Israeli soldier or civilian. Rachel Hanley was at the vigil as his friends and family expressed their sadness, shock, and anger.
To wake up to a call like that, I was in disbelief.
And 17-year-old Tawfiq Abdul-Jabbar's loved ones still are, since learning Friday that he had been killed overseas.
Nobody knows how to react. I mean, we still don't know we still can't fully comprehend what happened.
Tawfiq was born and raised in Gretna. This past summer, his family moved to the West Bank of Palestine.
His dad wanted to take him there for a year or so to kind of, show him our heritage, our roots, his grandparents' roots, his ancestors' roots.
He was planning to graduate there, then come back and study engineering at UNO.
And he was smart, he did good in school, and he had aspiring goals.
Then Friday, he was with a friend when he was shot and killed. Saturday, friends and family remembered his kindness and sense of humor at a vigil at the Omar Mosque.
He was always a funny person. Always brings your mood up when nothing's going on.
He was outgoing, goofy, funny, great heart, bright kid, bright future.
That same day, thousands of miles away, Tawfiq's body was carried through the streets wrapped in a Palestinian flag. He was laid to rest in his family's ancestral village. His parents were told he was shot by either an Israeli soldier or a settler.
They're being strong. They're in shock, just like we all are.
Besides the grief of losing Tawfiq, his loved ones are also feeling angry over how he died. They think some of Tawfiq's blood is on the U.S. government's hands because of its longtime support of Israel.
Every congressman should be talking about this. Every senator should be talking about this. I have not heard one statement yet.
We hope our American administration can take a stand to spread the peace instead of spreading weapons.
Kind of weird that a U.S. citizen was
shot. For Palestine and for a teenager who should have been able to come home. Rachel Handley, WWL, Louisiana.
I said definitely that it was an IDF soldier. Apparently there is some dispute over that. Or did I see it confirmed in another story? They said IDF soldier or a settler. It was definitely an Israeli. The GOP apparently has the votes to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. This is according to which is weird because they have a razor thin fucking margin. This is according to someone who went on for drinks with Maria Bartiromo this morning.
Heart-wrenching testimony from Tammy Nobles during the Mayorkas impeachment hearing after her autistic daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was brutally murdered by a member of MS-13 who was in this country illegally. Republicans on the House Homeland Security Committee voted to...
Wait, what? We covered this story. I don't remember MS-13 being involved in this. Can you guys fact check that? I don't think that's true. Because we covered that testimony.
move forward with impeaching Mayorkas for his failure to secure the southern border, with a markup of the articles expected before the end of the month. Joining me right now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive to walk us through the process is the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Congressman Mark Green. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being here.
Thanks, Maria.
Well, this really was hard to watch, this testimony by the woman who lost her daughter. You all are out until the end of January. When you get back on January 29th, will you walk us through how you
lazy asses
impeaching Alejandro Mayorkas?
Yeah, Maria, right now we are assembling articles of impeachment to present to our committee. We'll mark those up in committee very shortly after getting back. And then passing the committee, they'll go to the floor for a vote on the floor.
So the vote on the floor you're expecting in early February then?
I think it's very soon after. You know, one of our challenges is just the folks that are out for health issues right now. But once those individuals get back, I anticipate a very quick vote on the floor.
Bottom line, do you feel you have the votes to impeach Mayorkas?
Yes, we have the votes.
You have the votes, and are you seeing that as a opening to actually get this done? What happens in the Senate? Do you believe he will actually be out?
Guys. I'm not sure we're not days away from a vote to remove the Speaker of the House again. And this motherfucker's out here, we're going to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary. I kind of think he's full of shit. Just throwing it out there.
The job.
I certainly hope so, Maria. Look, this guy has subverted the laws passed by Congress, ignoring a co-equal branch of government. It's very clear the law says shall detain, and Mayorkas has done everything not to detain. In fact, he's created systems that what he calls lawful parole, but it's actually totally contradicting the Immigration and Nationality Act that was passed by this Congress. The executive branch executes the laws. Congress writes laws. If a cabinet secretary doesn't believe in those laws, he should run for Congress.
No, I love orcas.
He shouldn't just.
Good evening, pumpkin spice.
Wants. And that's basically what Mayorkas has done. And that's why we're going after this impeachment. It's about the Constitution, Maria. It's about the founding principles of our country, separation of power, an executive branch that executes, and a legislative branch that writes the laws. He doesn't get to write the laws or pick and choose.
Well, I mean, do you find it ironic that suddenly President Biden claims he's been telling everybody for 10 years that the border is not secure? I mean, he just said that. Of course, we know we're 2 days away from New Hampshire and 289 days away from the presidential election. It appears the president is getting religion.
Now, I think what's happening is he's recognizing this is an 80-20 issue for the American people. The American people, even Democrats. I mean, I have Democrats that are my colleagues in the House telling me that he should be fired. But it's unfortunate. They're probably going to vote to not impeach. But the truth of the matter is every American recognizes that they're not safe with this open border. His lawless actions have resulted in 150,000 fentanyl deaths. The cartels metastasizing across our country, controlling the gangs that are in our country and in our cities. Of course, the terrorists. You and I have talked before on your weekday show about the 28,000 Chinese that have come into this country in the last year, many of them military age with prior associations with the PLA. I mean, he has put the national security, the safety of Americans at massive risk, and that impact is because of his lawlessness. He has to go.
Well, we don't even know why they're doing it, why they're coming all over here. Are they being directed by Xi Jinping? I mean, 28,000 Chinese nationals, military-aged men. We may already have written the script of what's about to happen to America. Why?
Well, I don't understand why they're allowing it. I can tell you that Xi Jinping he saw what happened in Ukraine. The Russians infiltrated people. They immigrated into Eastern Ukraine. And then they basically, when the attack happened, those guys became the saboteurs. Now, if you look at the numbers
behind it,
the highest number of Chinese nationals was 1,800, and suddenly in a year it's 28,000. And you can't get a plane ticket in China without a correct social credit score. The Chinese know when you're flying to El Salvador and coming to the United States.
Well, this is all very disturbing, and the reason that we're constantly asking the question whether or not Joe Biden is compromised. But let me go back to this.
What?
Why now? Why not a year ago? I mean, you just heard your colleague, Michael McCall, say we should have done this a year ago. And we're still talking about it. You can understand the frustration on the part of Republican voters, your constituents who say, you all can't get it done.
Maria, I'm frustrated. I would love to have done this a year ago, but because there are colleagues, and these are some Republicans who think that there ought to be a judicial, methodical due process, we did that in our committee. We did a 5-phased investigation over the course of the last year, looking at his dereliction of duty, looking at the human cost to the country, looking at the financial cost of the country, looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. And we have finished that report in December, and now we're moving forward with the impeachment. We did that methodical process to educate the American people and hopefully educate a few Republicans that felt that was a necessary process.
All right, Congressman, we're going to be watching your work, and of course, those articles of impeachment and the.
Is he a robot? Is he a robot? Look at the way he's sitting. Look at his body. Can I get a ruling on that? I think this man's a robot. Who is he? He's a sex doll. Representative Mark Green of Tennessee. Representative Mark Green of Tennessee is a sex doll. Meanwhile, Texas officials are cracking down even harder. We saw their confiscation of Eagle Pass last week. They are intensifying their border enforcement.
Well, in other news, the state still locked in a heated battle with the Biden administration over the southern border. On Saturday, officials put up more razor wire in Eagle Pass to keep migrants from crossing the river into a local park. The state now letting troopers arrest migrants who tamper with the wire while trying to cross. They're now being charged with criminal trespassing. Arrested migrants will wait in jail until sentencing and then be turned over to ICE, which will decide whether to deport them. On Friday, state lawmakers toured the border where they had strong words for the White House.
My personal message would be that your policy positions and your decisions matter. And we have a true chaotic anarchy type situation with people coming over by the thousands.
Well, DPS says the Mexican state of Coahuila is cooperating with the U.S. Any migrants traveling to the U.S. by train are being picked up and bused further south into Mexico.
What? Speaking of Mexico, Mexican police apparently shot and killed a man. This caused protests. Apparently turned violent. Residents of a Mexican town set fire to the municipal palace. Municipal palace sounds weird. After local police shot a young man in the neck. Hold on, I should probably hit the content warning for that. This is a brawl that took place in. It just says Mexican town. Lerdo Esta de Pai. I don't know if that's the person who took the video or the name of the town. Reports say 27-year-old Brandon Arnano was shot after he did not stop at the checkpoint. But authorities did not say why he was stopped.
Se han señalado los abusos por parte de los efectivos de la Policía Lerdo de Tejada, Veracruz.
Sounded like he wanted some pussy.
Es el papá, el de la cadena es el papá.
That's horrible of me. If you're gonna give up the pussy, though.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
It's one of those nights. Speaking of giving up the pussy, that doesn't even make any sense. That transition doesn't work. I can't even twist it anyway. I'm sorry. Anyway, Moms for Liberty have a real problem with people who give up the pussy. they got a real stick up their asses about that sort of thing. The co-founder of Moms for Liberty, not the one who was involved in the scandal where she was having a threesome and her husband raped one of their lovers.
You live in sexual anarchy.
That's not the founder of Moms for Liberty we're going to be hearing from. It's the other one. She's going to be trying to defend book bans against Joy Reid.
LGBTQ parents and parents of LGBTQ kids, do they have parental rights?
Every parent, Joy. Every parent means every parent has the fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children.
And liberal parents? Do liberal parents have those rights as well?
All parents. Sure.
So let me point you to some statistics, because the question becomes then who gets to decide what all kids get to read. The Washington Post took a look at about 1,000 plus book challenges that were filed, and they found that they were filed nationwide by just 11 people. Each of these people brought 10 or more challenges against books in their school district. Together, these serial filers constituted 6% of all book challengers, but they were responsible for 60% of filings. In Florida, Tampa Bay Times, they found that of roughly 1,100 complaints recorded in Florida since July 2022, we're talking about more than 700 just from two counties, Escambia in the Western Panhandle and Clay County. Together, those are less than 3% of the public school enrollment. 600 of those complaints, 2 people. Why should 13 people get to decide what books tens of thousands of children get to read?
Well, I'm thinking it's probably because those 13 people saw what some of the content was in the books. I mean, explicit, graphic, sexual content. And I'm happy to talk about some of that content if you'd like to.
Well, this is the question again.
Let's talk about it.
Banned. I want to give you just
no books are being banned.
Hold on a second.
Well, no, Joy, but I want to be clear. No one's banning books. Write the book, print the book, publish the book, put the book in the public library, sell the book, right? We're talking about a public school library. Children don't have unfettered access to the internet at school. I did a FOIA records request, and I wanted to see what kinds of internet sites are banned in schools, if we're going to talk about banning, right? And the subject matter in the books that moms are concerned about are the same things that kids don't have access to on the internet. So it just feels very hypocritical, right? No, why is no one out there protesting for, free the internet in schools?
Let me give you an example of some of the books that have been removed from shelves as a result of the activities of organizations like Moms for Liberty.
We're not going to talk like Moms for Liberty. We're going to talk specifically Moms for Liberty.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy to have this conversation with you, Joy.
Absolutely.
You're all funded by the same people.
The actions of Moms for Liberty.
Oh, 100%.
Because I can't be possibly responsible for every single parent in America.
But your organization is the lead. You're the leading organization that's doing this. You have chapters all over the country, and other organizations are following your lead. And PEN America has listed, they have posted the list of books that have been removed from shelves as a result of these activities. So let me just read you a couple of them. Anne Frank's A Diary of a Young Girl. Mouse, which is a book about the Holocaust, a graphic novel. Genderqueer, a memoir. All Boys Aren't Blue. Beloved, Martin Luther King Jr. and the March on Washington. Ruby Bridges Goes to School. Slaughterhouse-Five, The Color Purple, Forever by Judy Blume. I could go on. These are books that are not only popular, in some cases are classics. Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. Let me give you an example.
Well, I'd like to answer your question.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just mentioned a list of books. And so Moms for Liberty doesn't have like a national book list. There was never a list of books that we...
I believe, if I remember correctly, this excerpt of Senator Kennedy is from Genderqueer.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Am I wrong about that? I do believe that's the book that's from.
We put out and said, parents, be concerned about these books, right? We didn't do it because we want our parents to be effective advocates. So when moms are going into the libraries in the schools, when they're seeing what their children have access to, when they go to speak to the superintendent or the principal, they have accurate information, right? They're
Where are they getting their
advocates.
information from?
You can just go online to a catalog in your children's library, and you can see what
without
books are
reading
available.
the books. What is one moment? What is booklooks.com?
I'm aware of a website called booklooks.com where parents can go and see some of the books that other parents are concerned about.
She's cute. I'd live in sexual anarchy
Florida
with her.
extensively in counties like, I used to live in Broward County. I lived there for 14 years.
Okay.
In counties like Broward County,
I'd be a swinger with her.
Escambia, Moms for Liberty activists are using booklooks.com, and it's essentially a cliff notes for books.
Yeah.
So you go through without even having to read the book. I'm going to just hold it up so our audience can see what it looks like. This is the one for All Boys Aren't Blue, which is one of the books Moms for Liberty has pushed
Everyone
to have
should
removed.
go and see the content in this book. That's such a good idea.
And so what happens is you can do keyword searches and find certain keywords.
Like rape.
You can find sure.
Or anal rape or dildo.
You can find all sorts
those
of
types
keywords.
of words. But like,
wait, hold on, wait. Let me finish my question. Then you can answer.
Sure.
I'm going to give you time to answer, but I got to ask you first.
No, yeah, I got it.
Tiffany Justice.
What you find is the keywords that you find, the N-word, anything, words like you just used, whether you'll get out of context passages from the book, and then based on that, Moms for Liberty members are going to places like Broward County school board meetings, reading out of context passages from these books, and then demanding that the school board remove them.
So what's
that is the way.
Yeah.
The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that
the picture that I used of her for the thumbnail, she looks like a Tina Fey character.
a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family members.
Does that not look like a Tina Fey character?
You said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor
An award-winning memoir.
No, we're talking about
for young adults.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Aren't Blue?
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You
the
just
name of the
remembered
author
very specific
doesn't
things.
joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about
Here's my question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer your
question.
Great.
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you, and you're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation. Okay,
great.
So what I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
This book is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience. Why is it your right, or a Moms for Liberty activist's right, to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author, why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So, again, we're talking about incest, rape, and pedophilia.
And each parent, each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask you one more time. What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child is seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member,
which is far more common than you probably want to acknowledge.
You just said that if a child feels seen by this story. What I'm saying, Joy,
you're now making assumptions about it.
No, but if a child has been raped, we should do a lot better than put a book on a library
Now you're literally
shelf.
creating a story behind a child that you don't know. Let me show you a form. This is a form that can be obtained in Broward County, Florida. I'm going to show it to the audience, and then I'm going to show it to you. Okay. This is called the opt. Yeah, please. I'm going to hand it to you.
So much.
It's called.
Poor Lord. Good evening.
Okay.
An opt-out form would allow any parent, because you said you are in favor of parental rights.
I am.
It would allow any parent to opt out of their child being able to take books out of the library without their parents' permission.
Okay.
So that Moms for Liberty, why not advocate that every school in America have an opt-out form so that a parent who doesn't want their child to access a book like All Boys Aren't Blue, that they can make that choice? Because then each parent, including a liberal parent, a black parent, a parent who wants their child to read a book about African American history, then they get their rights.
We want children to read books.
Why not just opt out for yourself rather than tell other parents?
Out.
First of all, I think what you're talking about here is a wonderful step in the right direction. We should be having conversations about this. This is about local control. A lot of these decisions are made at the local school board level, and that's where these decisions should be made. And there should be vibrant conversations.
Sure.
What does she tip when she goes out to a restaurant? 10%? 12%?
About what's happening in our public schools and what kids have access to. Joy, however, maybe we could just put all the books with all the graphic sexual.
She just writes God is great.
The rape, the
I'm sorry.
Let's do
I'm so sorry.
Let's do a back room.
Excuse me.
Let's put a curtain up in the library.
Richard, good evening.
One moment.
Remember when we were little and you would go to the video store?
The books that Moms for
and they
Liberty.
put those
the books that Moms for Liberty.
With pornography.
I know that I've seen.
We could just do that in the public library.
I have seen tapes of what Moms for Liberty does, and you all go into school board meetings and you read graphic stuff.
Disingenuous conversation.
No, it's not.
There's America used to understand that there's something called age-appropriate content.
Right, and here's my question again.
Like high schoolers.
Again. Ruby Bridges Goes to School is on the list of books that Moms for Liberty has attempted to have removed.
Absolutely not.
It absolutely is. Let me ask about the people who are making the decision for other parents, because you have not answered yet why a liberal parent or an African-American parent can't say,
We have parents who are Democrats who are members of our organization.
But you're still trying to make decisions for all the kids. Here are some of the parents that are filing, or some of your advocates. Bridget Ziegler, the Moms for Liberty co-founder, the wife of the recently Republican Party chairman, Christian Ziegler, who allegedly was involved in same-sex threesomes.
There we go.
Mrs. Ziegler was removed from the school board at which she was a leader. You have Lauren DePaula. She was making book ban requests in Alachua County, but then records show that she and her husband didn't live there. They'd sold their home in that county. Carrie Blair in Tennessee, who was arrested for property theft charges after allegedly stealing from Target, skip scanning in Target. Why should those three people get to make decisions about what other children should be able to read? Other parents' children should be able to read.
Do you know that I served as a school board member from 2016 to 2020?
Are you going to answer my question?
Yeah, I'm
because
going
we don't
to.
have an endless time.
Joy, I'm going to answer your question, but I need you to understand that when I was an elected representative, I would sit on that dais. And how dare I, sitting there as an elected representative, judge a parent when they would come to the podium to speak and advocate for their child? Because as we started this conversation, we'll end it. Every parent has a fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children. And I would not
I'm kind of turned on by her.
About a parent's education level, their sexual orientation, their race, their
She can be my mommy.
I'm going to answer. I'm going to ask my question,
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Justice. Mrs. Justice. That's
Thank
fine.
you.
If a parent believes that their child should be able to read Ruby Bridges,
we believe that children should be able to read.
Then
Ruby
how
Bridges.
can
She's an
Moms
American
for Liberty
hero.
insist that the school board take that book away and then say that a parent who wants the child to be able to read it must purchase it? That's essentially putting a tax on parents who want their children to read the book. Your kids get to have books.
I bet they're all freaks.
Agree with, but children.
Look at this woman.
Or parents who want their children to read books you don't like have to purchase it. That doesn't sound
Joy,
fair.
did you know that in the city that we're sitting in, only a quarter of children are reading on grade level?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
And so while we're having this conversation about books in libraries, two things should be happening.
That's a great point.
We should be talking about literacy rates and the fact that America's kids are not learning how to read, and we should be having vibrant conversations about what books
She
should be
seems
in
like the
libraries.
type. Whoa, that ended abruptly. Yeah, like the picture of her I used for the thumbnail, she looks like fucking Tina Fey. And that's the same necklace she was wearing just now. Her hair's a little lighter. I got a picture of her with darker hair. That was her encounter with Joy Reid. That was Tiffany Justice, co-founder of Moms for Liberty. And they don't seem like they're for liberty. That's what's weird to me. These people never seem to be for liberty. If you were for liberty, you'd be out here at the Charlotte airport saying, let these people have their drugs. How dare you arrest them? $33K.
Douglas International Airport, where now more than $33,000, nearly 38 pounds of marijuana and 22 pounds of mushrooms were found in suitcases in June. So here's what we know so far.
In June?
That there, though, at the evidence. Kenneth Settle and Juan Coleman were caught attempting to transport the items through the airport after returning from Northern California. Well, the drug items were found in the luggage from a United Airlines flight from Denver. And it was being loaded to baggage claim, and that's when the K-9 smelled the drugs.
Why are we just now hearing about it if it was in June? It was September. And why are we just now hearing about it if it was in September? Yes, I am a firm believer that we should not make animals work. That is animal abuse. Fuck that shit. A judge has condemned the FBI and ordered the release of one of the Newburgh 4. A man convicted in 2010 of plotting to blow up the New York City, a New York City synagogue and a Jewish community center and shoot down military planes was ordered to be released from prison by a judge who said the defendant was part of a group that was manipulated by the FBI. 4 men who became known as the Newburgh 4 were caught up in a scheme in 2009 to attack the synagogues and community center and launch Stinger missiles at military aircraft, driven by what the judge describes as overzealous FBI agents and an unsavory confidential informant. U.S. District Judge Colleen McMahon had already ordered the 3 other men in the group, Onta Williams, David Williams, and Laguerra Payan, to be released last July. The 4th man, James Cromity, described as the ringleader by the government, was ordered released by the judge on Friday. The judge called the case notorious and described the men as hapless, petty criminals who were easily manipulated by the government into a sting operation. Cromite's lawyer was quoted in the New York Times as saying the judge's order was at least some kind of vindication for what we believe was a tragic miscarriage of justice. The 4 men were convicted of terrorism charges in 2010 and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Friday's order by the judge asked for Cromity's sentence to be cut to time served plus 90 days. It did not reverse the conviction. Judge McMahon said that Cromity was a small-time grifter who was broke and unemployed when he was enlisted in the FBI-driven plot and provided fake bombs to plant in exchange for $250,000 in the jihadist mission. Cromity enlisted the 3 other men to serve as lookouts, according to the judge. The 3 men were recruited so that Cromity could conspire with someone, the judge said. The real lead conspirator was the United States. The FBI invented the conspiracy, identified the targets, and manufactured the ordnance. Cromity was recruited by longtime FBI informant Saeed Hussain, whom the judge called a villain. The judge wrote that Hussain's role was to infiltrate mosques and shoot people who could be potential extremists. Hussain offered heavenly and earthly rewards, including as much as 200 and spot. I'm sorry, not shoot. Shoot doesn't make sense. His job was to infiltrate mosques and spot people who could be potential extremists. Hussain offered heavenly and earthly rewards, including as much as $250,000 to Cromity if he would plan and participate in and find others to participate in a jihadist mission. ACAB means those FBI agents too. And we know all about the shitty shit they did to, like, the Muslim community and the black community. We know about the history. They just didn't do it on to January 6th defendants. Come the fuck on. Alright, we're still doing crime, but it's kind of the bullshit part of the show, I guess. We're beyond the like the rough stories. I guess maybe. Getting ready as I get ready to play you a video of a murder trial. A juror's comment has resulted in their dismissal from a trial.
The juror's comment in an explosive murder conspiracy trial, causing an uproar in court after comparing it to the hit movie Gone Girl. We're talking about a mother of 5 disappearing without a trace. ABC's Rena Roy is here with the details. Good morning again, Rena.
Gio, good morning to you. This was a case that made headlines around the country. And because it is such a high-profile trial, it has gotten people talking, even some jurors who are now dismissed because of their comments.
We can bring the jury in.
This morning, dramatic developments in the trial of Michelle Troconis, who's facing charges in connection with the death of Jennifer Dulos, the Connecticut mother of 5 who disappeared in 2019. A juror dismissed after comparing the case to the movie Gone Girl. The 2014 crime thriller starring Ben Affleck is about
I didn't like it.
life with plot twists at every turn.
I had nothing to do.
They weren't good plot twists.
Troconis was the girlfriend of Fotis Dulos, Jennifer's husband. Dulos accused of killing Jennifer amid a bitter divorce, and prosecutors say Troconis helped him cover it up. She's the first person to stand trial in this case.
We're going to probably talk about those video surveillance cameras. We're going to get more law enforcement officers and how they're connecting Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis to this crime.
Troconis pleading not guilty to conspiracy to commit murder, evidence tampering, and hindering prosecution. Jennifer's body was never found, but she was declared legally dead last year. Fotis Dulos died by suicide in 2020 after being charged with her murder. The family nanny taking the stand, describing the day Jennifer went missing.
The second I called Jennifer, it's like my stomach just sank because she never not answered her phone.
And an alternate juror was also dismissed last week for telling a member of the prosecution team, quote, "We love you." It's now down to 6 jurors and 3 alternates. And if that total number goes below 6, we could see a mistrial. Rhiannon, all right.
Don't tell the prosecution you love them. What the hell? An alternate juror was dismissed for telling the prosecution she loved them. I'm sorry, they didn't give a gender, did they? A juror was dismissed for telling the prosecution that they loved them. It was wrong of me to assume a gender. It very well could have been a man. I would assume it would be a gay man if it was a man. That's stereotyping on my part, however, you know it's true. But it could very well be a man. Why are you telling the prosecution you love them? You might be in front of that prosecution for some reason. What if you commit a murder? A celebrity chef in Louisville, formerly of Louisville, said in the statement that he is confident he'll be exonerated of assault and strangulation.
Darnell Super Chef Ferguson's show on the Food Network has been paused, but he says he is confident that the truth...
Oh wait, he had a show on the Food Network. Holy shit.
Super Chef Ferguson's show on the Food Network has been paused, but he says he is confident that the truth will come out and he'll be cleared. The celebrity chef is charged with burglary and strangulation involving his estranged wife. His lawyer released this statement on his behalf, saying, quote, "Mr. Ferguson continues to maintain his complete innocence and is confident that when all the facts are made public, he will be exonerated." Ferguson's lawyer also says a number of new details have been released that, quote, "begin to paint a clear picture of the events of January 2nd, 2024. The statement says Ferguson is focused on the well-being and safety of his family. The case now heads to a grand jury.
Well, I mean, he hasn't been officially charged if it's heading to a grand jury. I've not heard of him, but also I haven't watched the Food Network in forever. Oh shit, he looks all snazzy. Ferguson was arrested on January the 9th after police accused him of breaking into his estranged wife's Kentucky home and threatening to kill her. Prosecutors have proceeded with domestic violence-related criminal charges against Food Network star Darnell Ferguson, who has been accused of strangling and threatening to kill his estranged wife. Ferguson was arrested on January the 9th in St. Matthews, a suburb of Louisville, on felony charges of burglary and strangulation. He also faces misdemeanor charges including assault, terroristic threatening, menacing, and criminal mischief. He faced an additional misdemeanor charge, theft, receipt of a stolen credit card or debit card, for allegedly taking his estranged wife's debit card and her ID, but it was dismissed at a preliminary hearing. Following Thursday's preliminary hearing, people obtained the following statement from Ferguson's attorney. Mr. Ferguson continues to maintain his complete innocence. That's what we just heard. Darnell allegedly broke into Tathada's St. Matthew's home and began yelling at her and punching walls. He then allegedly grabbed her by the neck and strangled her while threatening to kill her. The warrant stated St. Matthews claimed she was unable to breathe and lost consciousness. When the victim regained consciousness, she was on the floor, and Darnell then ripped off the victim's shorts, causing a scratch to the victim's upper thigh. After ripping the victim's shorts, Darnell demanded to see the victim's private area and told the victim she was his and no one's else. That's I've heard this. I have heard of this behavior before. Like, this is a jealous man. The warrant further claimed that St. Matthews told police that Ferguson's alleged actions placed her in fear of being sexually assaulted. Sounds like it. Police were called to the home and took photos of the alleged victim's injuries, which included redness, scratches, and pain to her neck, and a scratch to her upper thigh. A statement provided to People last week, Tibbs wrote, Darnell and his wife are separated and are working together to find a new balance for their family. They had a disagreement on January the 2nd that was subsequently reported to the authorities in a misleading and false manner. We are hopeful that these issues will be resolved shortly and in a way that is at least the least disruptive to their blended family of 8 children. God damn, that's according to Darnell's lawyer. Super Chef Darnell. I don't know. I've seen that kind of shitty behavior out of men. Speaking of shitty behavior out of men, you know who Hulk Hogan is? Well, he came to the site of his son Nick being arrested. This is Nick, I believe, already in handcuffs.
Sure. What's if I don't? What's?
We're like 22 minutes into this.
Explain it to you.
We'll get to Hulk Hogan, brother.
Your breath for the purposes of determining alcohol content when you take the test.
This happened in November. We are just now seeing it. The body cam footage was released a few days ago.
Yes, but now you're asking what happens if you don't. If you refuse to take the test I request of you, your driving privilege will be suspended for a period of 1 year for the first refusal, or 18 months if your driving privilege has been previously suspended, or if you were previously fined under state statute 327.3.
Good night, Socialist Aunt.
DUI, loading statute.
Go ahead, light one up, tip one back.
Additionally, if you refuse to take the test I requested of you, and if your driving privilege has been previously suspended, or if you've been previously fined under state statute 327.35215 for a refusal to submit to a lawful test of your breath or no blood, you will be committing a misdemeanor in addition to any other penalties which can be imposed by law. Refusal to submit to the test I requested is admissible.
This is the first of 2 Hulk Hogan stories.
Go ahead and take a look at it now. I can't hold it. I'm sorry. I got you.
Like the cop didn't know you were in handcuffs. But then again, cops are fucking dumb.
Huh? No, sir. Okay.
I do want to point out that Nick Hogan has already paralyzed one of his friends.
understand that, sir? You good?
They were in a wreck in like the mid 2000s, maybe late 2000s.
Still reading you. Still reading, boss man.
All right. Well, this.
Dun, dun, dun,
So listen, I've read it to you. What it basically says is that if it's the first time you refuse, you lose your license for a year. If it's a second or subsequent refusal, so if you refuse in the past, it's going to be an 18-month suspension on your license, and it's an additional charge for it, okay? For refusing. So with that said, I'm going to ask a final time if you're willing to give me a sample of your breath.
May I speak to my legal counsel?
No, when it comes to implied consent, no, you don't get a legal counsel, okay?
There's no legal counsel.
No, not when it comes to implied consent, no, sir.
Okay. Breathalyzer. Okay.
Oh, is he he's yelling at Terry.
Understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, sir.
It's up to you.
I can't make a decision.
You can't make a decision?
No, sir. I can't make a decision.
Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you down to the instrument. I'm going to give you the opportunity down there to provide samples if you're indecisive.
I'm indecisive. Okay? I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Spread your stance for me. Nice and wide. Nice and wide.
I'm indecisive. I'm sorry. What are the earplugs for? I'm usually not just cruising around with earplugs.
I know, this is part of this procedures. All right. We're going to walk over here to my side, okay?
You gotta fill up your crotch, son.
Got it for a minute?
I'm disappointed in the kid.
Watch your head as you step in, okay?
You know, he was on the reality show, The Hogan Knows Best. He paralyzed a friend. There he is.
He's currently in custody for DUI.
He's wearing a t-shirt of himself. The motherfucker showed up to the scene of his kid getting arrested for DUI wearing a t-shirt of himself.
Did he blow? Okay.
We're at that point right now where he's asking if he's willing to blow or not.
Cool. Let me find my lawyer real quick. See where we're at. This is crazy. Sorry about this.
It's all right. Basically, if he refused...
He's got a walking stick.
I think he has refused. I think that's where we are with it.
Give me a second.
So if he refuses, he's going to have the opportunity to go to a driver's license hearing, or he can get a hardship driver's license. If this is his first DUI, then there's methods.
For sure, breathalyze the Hulkster.
Reduce the charges. I mean, there's different things that they can do. With your attorney, you should be able to figure all that out.
Yeah, he says his first DUI.
Yeah, he should be.
His first?
Speeding or what was the deal?
Move over.
Excuse me?
Move over.
What does move over mean?
Means when the officers are working on the side of the road, you change lanes. He went by us at 51.
Oh, that's bullshit.
So they're taking him over 49th Street?
We're going to take him to the main station. We're going to give him the opportunity to... I think he's refused, so we're going to give him the opportunity to still provide a breath sample regardless. And then if he still refuses, then he'll just get a DUI citation, and then he's going to go to the county jail after that. But he's got to spend 8 hours from the time of the arrest.
Where's the main station?
645 Thur Street.
Is that downtown?
Yes, sir.
Is that across from the empty park over there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What's going on with those two idiots?
They're just yelling and screaming.
Oh, I pull over for workers. Real workers.
What's
not cops.
He says he can't make up his mind right now. Yeah, so I'm going to take him down to the instrument and sort of give him that opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, you're going to have to do that regardless.
You have a driver's.
Hogan said it was his first DUI. Look at him with his stick.
That's his wife?
That back passenger was trying to calm her down. It's just not working.
No, it's just standard procedure here with me. It's always some type of BS drama. Okay, well, yeah, the officer said he's down at the downtown station across that empty park where we were going down feeding all the homeless people down there. I think that's the one right down there. All right, so.
Hulk Hogan's lucky to be rich. He wasn't for a while.
Well, there's no reason for you to stay up there booking him, and then I'm going to bail him out. That should be it.
He's going to spend 8 hours.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry, what was that, boss?
He's going to spend 8 hours in custody.
He's going to be there 8 hours?
He's got to spend 8 hours. By state law, he's got to spend 8 hours in custody.
Okay, well, he's going to spend 8 hours in custody. And then I'll get him out. Can I talk to him?
It's the Hulkster.
Take her and the car in the house. I'll run a sobriety test and everything about it. If you trust me.
Just 1 second.
I'm asking 585 to back up. Can you talk to him real quick? Okay. Can you back up so we can talk to him real quick?
I was going to, yeah, I can do that. I was just going to get your phone number real quick for him.
And that was like
The Hulkster, brother.
So he'll be able to call you once he gets down to the county and everything. He'll be able to call you from there. Usually they have a cell phone, but you want him to get your number for him. I'm going to put it in his property.
Okay.
I think he's a wrestling fan.
8 hours before he could get bailed
Yes, sir.
out. So there's no reason for me to go down there and hang around all night.
No, sir. Just wait for our call. Make sure it's on high ring so you don't miss it.
Yeah, so Miles is going back to sleep.
Yeah, he'll get out 10 o'clock.
10?
Yeah, as long as he blows under an 05, he'll get out at 10 o'clock.
All right, cool.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Open the door. Open the door.
You good, Bubba? Yeah. All right, cool.
Whatever. I worked like you. I'm sorry. I'm emotional. Yeah, I worked at Men's Prison. I think you guys make. And I can't blow that long.
Who is this? Did they pull somebody else
I'm an
over?
ex-porn star. That's as hard as I can blow. Sorry.
I'm an ex-porn star. That's as hard as I can blow.
I'm sad. Like, I was a commissary manager, and I sat with people who did BWIs, the boating while intoxicated, and I was like, I didn't know that was possible.
No, she didn't blow hard enough.
I can blow harder. I don't have a lot of lung capacity. I know how to do this. I'm not dumb.
Well, if she wasn't driving, what would it matter?
Me. It's funny, I know it. I'm telling you, like, you guys are being so I used to work in a prison.
Seriously.
Good! I'm not doing anything wrong.
Big deep breath and blow. You gotta blow harder and consistent.
Oh, she wants to take the truck home.
Like, my lungs are this wide. I don't need that. What am I gonna do with that? Sell it on my OnlyFans? Like, thanks.
Sell it on my OnlyFans.
I'm emotional. I'm sad. Yeah, why are we getting them? Racing. On the bowling booth, racing all day. I'll do another one. I'm not drunk. I'm sad. I used to work at a prison. I was commissary manager.
Stop talking for 2 seconds so you can get your breath because you're not giving a complete sample.
Because it's under the limit and you don't believe me.
No,
yes.
That's not why. If it was under the limit, it would say it was under the limit.
I was just saying she's talking too much.
All right. Big deep breath.
I'm not drunk. I'm sad.
All right.
I love her.
And blow.
I'm gonna like pass ask Hal. If I go to the hospital, you're gonna pay for me to go to the hospital? No. No.
Fucking cop.
Check
I can 125.
125. You saying she's drunk?
I don't know. Is that over the limit?
Double legal. 1.5 times over.
What?
He was sitting in the car. I couldn't tell, but if he was standing in front of me, I could tell if he was drunk or not by just looking at him. Did he look like he was drunk when you saw him?
Yeah, he didn't do.
Are they gonna arrest her too? Not drunk, I'm just sad.
And honestly, I don't know what the other officer saw. From what I saw, he didn't do that.
Hogan can tell just by looking at somebody.
He's just gonna have to go through a bunch of different steps.
I hate Hulk Hogan, but God is he funny.
He already started telling me what you had just told me about the hardship license and the DUI school and the whole thing.
Right, he's gonna have to jump through a bunch of hoops, and hopefully,
He's such a liar.
The best thing I ever did was quit drinking. Every problem I've ever had in my life revolves around somebody drinking alcohol.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Unfortunately, this is all we do all night long. Is take
I don't know how you do it.
Junks off the road.
I don't know how you do it, especially with people that keep running their mouths, man. I lock them all up.
He was almost in Metallica.
Gotta have patience of a saint.
I guess so. I don't know how you do it.
I don't think he was Jeff Hardy drunk.
They push your button sometimes.
He was coherent.
Just gotta know how far you can get away with it, that's all.
Alright, I think we've come to the end of this one. I'm glad we stuck around long enough. I almost turned it off, but I'm glad we stuck around long enough to see the girl. I'm not drunk, I'm sad. But as I said, that's not the only story involving Hulk Hogan I have for you tonight. Hogan apparently showed up at the scene of the wreck and rescued a teenage girl.
Developing tonight, a car crash that flipped a young girl's car here in Tampa last night turned into an act of heroism and by a name you may recognize. TMZ reports Hulk Hogan himself witnessed it with his wife and his friend. As Fox 13's Evan Moon explains, they jumped into action to pull that girl to safety.
Hulk Hogan's wife, Sky Daly, posted about the accident, writing, "Last night we left dinner in Tampa. We saw a car flip in front of us. I truly admire my husband, Hulk Hogan, and good friend Jake Rask for springing into action." Tampa police confirmed it was on the Veterans Expressway by exit 2A towards Clearwater. The two men, Hogan and friend Jake, seen in pictures by TMZ, pulled a teenage girl from the wreckage. Hogan tweeting that without a knife, airbags, he used a ballpoint pen to free the 17-year-old girl from the upside-down car. He goes on to say, "Thank you, God, all is well." Wife Sky Daly writing the teen girl was, quote, unscathed, just really rattled, which was a miracle. What caused the accident is still under investigation. One comment online read, "Imagine flipping your car and the first thing you hear is, 'You all right, brother?' A famous wrestler who lives here in Tampa Bay." Fellow Good Samaritan Jake Rask was with the Hogans Sunday night. We spoke with him about the act of being a real-life superhero.
Why didn't you get
teamed up
Hogan?
with Hulk Hogan. He messaged us, "We're just glad she's okay, and God put us there at the right time."
Oh, you couldn't even get him on
Hogan
camera?
putting his WWE expertise to good use this weekend.
He's got an NWO shirt on.
A true brother helping another. Evan Moon, Fox 13 News.
Brother. I hate Hulk Hogan. I mean, I guess I'm glad he rescued a teenage girl. That's cool of him. It's a wrestling kind of night for me.
You take your 33 and a third chance.
You do some Scott Steiner math.
Chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning.
You add it up, and it's the type of night we do several wrestling stories. And this one's heartwarming. Wrestlers and fans shut down transphobia at a TWE Chattanooga event. Fans and fellow wrestlers shut down an attendee directing transphobic comments toward an out non-binary pro wrestler, Josh Locke, following their Gig City Championship win. They look quite cute, too. Last Saturday's barbed wire baptism event kicked off 2024 in dramatic fashion for Tennessee-based pro wrestling promotion TWE Chattanooga. The night's main event featured a battle amongst barbed wire between longtime rivals Jaden Newman and Shug D that set a high bar for the rest of the Southeast to meet this year, but an even greater moment preceded the bloody war, one that proved the commitment of TWE Chattanooga to its mantra against hate. The night's semi-main event featured a non-binary wrestler, Josh Locke, against Big Dave in the finals of the TWE Gig City Championship Tournament. Locke would come out on top and become the inaugural holder of the title named after the city the promotion calls home. The win denoted a major moment within the promotion as Locke became the first out non-binary champion in the company's history and possibly in the long history of pro wrestling in the state of Tennessee. But one attendee's multiple transphobic comments directed towards Locke nearly cast a cloud over the historic moment. According to multiple people in the building during the event who spoke to Out Sports, a male attendee began directing transphobic language toward Locke early in the match. His one frame of reference was Caitlyn Jenner, and I'm like, bitch, we don't even like her. Said Scotty Moore, a wrestling announcer and YouTuber who heard the comments firsthand. For me, being a non-binary theater kid like Josh, my alarm bells started going off. Pro wrestler Jameson Shook, who wrestled in the night's opener alongside out wrestlers Fanasi and Singrid, daughter of Thur, took notice of the man as well when the attendee began making similar comments during a moment in the match when Locke, who wrestles as a heel, began drawing fans' ire. Shook made his way over to that side of the building to assess the situation. We got some video, but do we have... Yeah, is that of the... I don't know if this is of the incident, though. There's Locke with the Helova kick, the curb stomp. Well, the boo that man is kind of transphobic. Management did not respond to a request for comment from Outsports, but Shook stated that he gained permission from the company officials to discuss the matter. The issue flared once again during Locke's post-match celebration. Locke told Outsports that they hadn't been aware of the hateful comments made during the match before returning to the locker room, but heard a comment about how I looked like Caitlyn Jenner about halfway through their planned acceptance speech. I cut like half of the speech I planned, and at that point, I told them to hit my music and I was going to go to the back because I just didn't want to be out there anymore, Locke said. Aww. At that moment, a slew of wrestlers and fans jumped into action to shut the attendee down and remove him from the building. It was like the Avengers assembling behind me as Shook, Kevin Ryan, the Blairs, B. Brian Blair? I'm sure I'm forgetting names. Start telling this guy to get out. And then the surrounding crowd starts to join into the groundswell of getting this dude out of there. It made us very proud to see people standing up, knowing the code at TWE, and helped kick the fan out. It's also very telling that nobody came with him and defended him, spoke up, or even left with him after he was removed. The comments definitely rattled Locke in the moment, but the love felt by seeing wrestlers and fans alike oppose the attendee quickly overwhelmed any negative feelings. Oh! It was obviously an emotional moment for me, Locke said. I'm about a year and a half into my career, and I'm an inaugural champion. The transphobic comments came, but it felt so good to see the quick action of everyone at the TWE arena. I don't get that every place I go, but I know I always will at TWE. I eventually got outside. I was upset for about 30 seconds before it went away, and I had people around me checking in and telling me the guy was kicked out. I love and appreciate everyone in the TWE locker room. I know they will always have my back, and it means so much to me that they have supported me since I've been openly out. Beautiful. Love it. I'm sorry, I didn't have time to get an animal video. I gotta go get an animal video now. I'm just going with the first one I got here. That's not it. Oh, it's a duck and a cat. Like dog and butterfly. It's several ducklings and a cat. Well, that's cute as shit. Oh, the ducky fell. I'm gonna make a roast beef sandwich. I'm so hungry. I had a bowl of potato soup. I made potato soup yesterday. Might even make a cheese sauce. Maybe like an Arby's beef and cheddar. I got extra sharp cheddar for my roast beef sandwiches. I was gonna make chicken with a pan sauce, gravy, mashed potatoes. I got some stuffing. That's one of the reasons. That's why I have bread. I don't usually get bread. I had bread so I could make sandwiches with mashed potatoes and gravy and chicken. Oh, I bet that orange chicken sounds so fucking good. Do you use like mandarin oranges? That was one of the things that made me hungry during the stream. Digs. Nom 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 nom. Look at these duggies. Look at these duggies with the kitty. Oh, speaking of kitties. Indian butter chicken. Here's a Smokey. Smokey gonna say hey. Hey, buddy. Doc's over there on the couch. It looks like they're nursing. I mean, I can't imagine they are, but like, I assume they're just cuddling. But like, it looks like they're nursing. Plot twist is the male cat. They look so chill, which I mean, who doesn't want to cuddle with a cat? The cat's cleaning the little doggy. I love cuddling with cats. I hate it when my cat's like, fucking Smokey wants to be in my lap when I'm trying to work. Non-stop. But when I want to lay down and go to sleep and I'm like, Smokey, come cuddle. Does he want to come cuddle with me? No. I don't understand what the deal is. Anyway, we've got the New Hampshire primary taking place on Tuesday. Special Tuesday Troll Patrol this week for the New Hampshire primary. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.